Ayesha bent over the whirring machine. Her nimble fingers guided the fabric. The needle danced, a blur of motion. The garment factory was a symphony of sound. Machines clattered, voices chattered, and the air hung heavy with the smell of sweat and cotton. She had worked here since she was a young girl. Her father, a skilled weaver, had taught her the trade. He had instilled in her a love for the feel of fabric, the rhythm of the needle, the quiet satisfaction of creation. But his hands were gnarled with arthritis now, his once strong body weakened by illness. Ayesha was the sole provider for her family. Her days were long and arduous, but she never complained. She carried the weight of their hopes and dreams on her slender shoulders. Her heart ached for her father, for the life he could no longer lead. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city, Ayesha finally allowed herself a moment of respite. She leaned back, her aching muscles protesting, and closed her eyes. The rhythmic clatter of the machines was a lullaby, a familiar soundtrack to her life. Home was a cramped two-room dwelling in the heart of the city. The walls were bare, the furniture threadbare, but it was their haven, their sanctuary from the chaos of the world outside. Her mother, her face etched with worry lines, greeted her with a tired smile. Her younger brother, Amir, his eyes bright with mischief, rushed to hug her. Ayesha's heart swelled with a love that banished the fatigue from her bones. She ruffled his hair, her own burdens momentarily forgotten. Her father sat propped up in a corner, his frail hand clutching a worn book of poetry. His eyes, once full of life, were clouded with pain. He smiled at her, a sad, weary smile that tugged at her heartstrings. Dinner was a simple affair. Rice and lentils, seasoned with their mother's love. They ate in silence, the weight of their circumstances a palpable presence at the table. Ayesha watched her family, her heart heavy with a love that knew no bounds. She would do anything for them, sacrifice everything to ease their burdens. Rafiq was a dreamer, a weaver of words. He frequented the factory, not as a worker, but as an observer. He sat in a corner, his notebook in hand, his eyes drinking in the scene. He found beauty in the mundane, poetry in the rhythm of the machines, in the sweat-stained faces of the workers. He watched Ayesha, captivated by her quiet strength, her unwavering dedication. He saw the way her brow furrowed in concentration, the way her fingers flew across the fabric, the way she carried the weight of the world on her slender shoulders. He began to write about her. His words, usually filled with melancholy and longing, now held a newfound tenderness. He wrote of her resilience, her beauty that shone through the grime and fatigue, her love for her family that radiated like a beacon in the darkness. One day, he gathered his courage and approached her. He introduced himself, his voice soft, almost apologetic. He offered her his latest poem, his hand trembling slightly as he held it out to her. Ayesha looked at him, her eyes wary, her heart beating a little faster. Ayesha read the poem, her heart pounding. It was beautiful, filled with a depth of emotion that resonated within her soul. It spoke of her struggles, her sacrifices, her unspoken dreams. It saw her, truly saw her, in a way no one ever had before. A hesitant friendship blossomed between the seamstress and the poet. During her breaks, they would sit together, sharing stories and dreams. He told her of faraway lands, of love and loss, of the beauty he found in the everyday. She, in turn, shared her hopes for her family, her dreams of a better life, a life where her father could receive proper medical care, where her brother could go to school, where her mother's tired eyes could finally know peace. Rafiq listened with his heart, his soul connecting with hers. He saw the depth of her love, the fierceness of her spirit. He found himself drawn to her quiet strength, her unwavering hope. He knew in his heart that he had found something rare and precious, a connection that transcended the boundaries of their different worlds. Section 5. Whispers of Affection. Their encounters became the highlight of Ayesha's long days. Rafiq's words, filled with beauty and longing, offered her a temporary escape from the harsh realities of her life. She found herself looking forward to their conversations, to his shy smiles, to the way his eyes lit up when he spoke of his dreams. He, in turn, was captivated by her spirit, her quiet resilience in the face of adversity. He saw the love she had for her family, the sacrifices she made without a second thought. He found himself drawn to her warmth, her compassion, the way she made him believe in the power of hope even in the bleakest of times. There were moments, fleeting but potent, when their hands would brush as they shared a book of poems, or when their eyes would meet across the crowded factory floor. In those moments, a silent language passed between them, a language of unspoken longing, of a connection that ran deeper than words could express. Section 6. The loom falls silent. Tragedy struck on a day much like any other. Ayesha's father's health, fragile for so long, took a turn for the worse. The loom, once his pride and joy, now sat silent, a testament to his failing strength. Despair settled over their small home, thick and suffocating. Ayesha's mother, her face etched with worry, clung to her faith. Her brother, too young to understand the gravity of the situation, still sought solace in Ayesha's embrace. Ayesha felt her heart breaking. Her father, her hero, the man who had taught her the meaning of hard work and sacrifice, was slipping away. She spent every spare moment by his side, reading to him from his worn book of poetry, sharing stories of her day, clinging to every labored breath, every weak squeeze of her hand. Section 7. A difficult decision. The weight of their situation pressed down on Ayesha with suffocating force. The medical bills piled up, a stark reminder of their dire circumstances. She took on extra shifts, her fingers raw and bleeding, her body screaming in protest. Rafiq watched, his heart aching for her. He wanted to ease her burden, to shield her from the harsh realities of life. He offered her words of comfort, of hope, but they felt hollow even to his own ears. One evening, he found her weeping softly by her father's bedside. He sat beside her, his presence a silent offering of comfort. He knew there were no words that could truly alleviate her pain, but he hoped his presence, his silent understanding, would offer her a moment of solace. Section 8. Farewell, my poet. Ayesha knew what she had to do. It was a decision born of desperation, of love that demanded the ultimate sacrifice. She approached Rafiq, her heart heavy in her chest. Her eyes, usually bright with life, were clouded with a sorrow that cut him to his core. She told him of her plan. She would leave the city, journey to a distant town where she had heard of a factory offering higher wages. She would send money back home, enough to cover her father's medical expenses, enough to give her family a fighting chance at a better life. Rafiq listened, his heart breaking as she spoke. He wanted to protest, to offer her another way, but the words died in his throat. He knew, with a sinking certainty, that her decision was final, a testament to her unwavering love and loyalty. Section 9. A Love Remembered. Their parting was bittersweet, filled with unspoken words and lingering touches. He pressed a small, leather-bound notebook into her hand, his last gift to her, a testament to their shared love for words. Ayesha boarded the train, her heart heavy in her chest. As it pulled away from the station, she caught a glimpse of Rafiq standing on the platform, his silhouette a solitary figure against the backdrop of the bustling city. Life went on. Ayesha worked tirelessly, sending every spare rupee back to her family. She kept Rafiq's notebook close, his words a source of comfort and inspiration. She never forgot him, the poet who had seen her soul, the man who had loved her without asking for anything in return. Their love, born in the heart of a bustling city, would forever remain etched in the fabric of her memory, a bittersweet melody that echoed through the corridors of her heart.